Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister responsible for the Accessibility for Ontarians Act. Since December of last year, the government has known that 70% of Ontario's private companies are not complying with the AODA reporting requirements. To make matters worse, Speaker, this information was only discovered after the AODA Alliance spent months battling with this government to release this compliance data, information that should always have been publicly available. The minister tells us now that he is quotes-unquote upset about the lack of compliance, but can he explain to Ontarians why his government's lack of enforcement had to show up in the Toronto Star for him to finally promise action?
Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Employment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the question. As I spoke to this yesterday, I want to repeat that the compliance levels by businesses that have more than 20 employees are required to file by December 31st of last year, and that percentage is unacceptably low. Only 30% of the businesses in this province have complied. So since becoming minister, I've taken this issue extremely seriously. During my tenure as minister and minister responsible for the AODA, we have doubled the number of businesses that now are complying. In September, I asked the ministry, and they sent out more than 50,000 letters. 2,500 enforcement letters are going out this week, Mr. Speaker. This is an issue that I take very seriously. To some extent, unfortunately, I have to admit that the AODA legislation itself, as was passed unanimously by this legislature, the mechanism for enforcement is, in some respects, cumbersome in terms of the process that we have to follow.
Answer.
And for that reason, we are following the process as outlined in the law, but I am working on this vigorously, and I intend to go as full as we need to get full compliance.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Speaker, this 2005 legislation is an essential tool for ensuring equal access for persons with disabilities in Ontario, but it can only be effective if the standards are enforced, which is up to this government. Even more outrageous, the government earmarked $24 million to enforce the Act, but they never bothered to spend any of it. Instead of platitudes and empty promises, can the minister provide Ontarians with a concrete timeline, actually what you're going to do for enforcing the AODA? Finally,